Okay, so imagine a place so remote, so ancient, that what you find there doesn't just rewrite history, it completely erases humanity from the story. That's the bone chilling idea at the heart of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness. And today, yeah, we're going right into its frozen depths.
Right from the get-go, the story doesn't start with a scene, but with this desperate plea. We have a geologist, a man who spent his entire life uncovering the Earth's secrets, and now he's begging his colleagues to leave one last secret buried. This whole story we're about to hear, it's his frantic attempt to explain why. So the question just hangs there. What could possibly turn a man of science against the very act of discovery itself?
So, it all kicks off with a mission to conquer the last real blank space on the map. The famous Miskatonic University sends its best and brightest down to Antarctica, a continent of nothing but crushing ice and total silence. They think they're looking for geological samples, but they're about to stumble upon something far, far older.
They're armed with this groundbreaking new drill, and the mission seems simple enough. Just collect some rock samples. But the very first core sample they pull up, it just shatters everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. Deep, deep down in Precambrian rock, they find a fossil impression. We're talking about an era when the most complex life was basically a trilobite, and yet something huge and impossibly advanced left its mark.
This impossible fossil just completely hooks one of the expedition's lead biologists, a guy named Professor Lake. He grabs a small team and flies west, chasing the source of this strange rock. And what they find is, well, it's a geographical impossibility. A mountain range that's actually taller than the Himalayas, this colossal wall of black rocks standing like a tombstone at the very edge of the world. And at the foot of these insane mountains, Lake's team finds something else. Their drill just punches right through into a massive, hollow space. So they blast their way in and uncover a cavern that's been sealed off from the world for 50 million years. And inside, frozen solid, are the very creatures that left those prints.
The radio starts crackling to life with these reports from Lake's camp, and it's this weird mix of scientific victory and this creeping horror. He's found them, complete, perfectly preserved specimens. His descriptions are just a series of contradictions. They're monstrous, but clearly advanced. They're tough as leather, but still flexible. You can hear the excitement in his voice for sure, but underneath it is this chilling realization that the entire story of life on Earth is just wrong.
And the creature itself, which Lake calls an elder thing, is a biological nightmare. I mean, get this, it's not really an animal, but it's not a vegetable either. It's something totally in between. It's got this five-fold symmetry, kind of like a starfish, with a barrel-shaped body, leathery wings, and a head that sprouts 5 eyes and 5 mouths. This isn't just some unknown species, it's a completely different kind of life altogether. Then a storm rolls in, cuts off all communication, and the main party flies out to see what's going on. What they find is just total carnage. The camp is annihilated, the men and the dogs have been slaughtered. But the real horror is in what's missing. All 8 of the perfect alien specimens are just gone, and so is one of the men, a guy named Gedney. But maybe the most disturbing thing? The dissected alien parts have been carefully buried in these star-shaped mounds of snow, like an act of respect, or something. Desperate for answers, our narrator and his pilot, Danforth, they decide to fly over those mountains. From far away, the peaks look like they're topped with these weird cube-like shapes. They figure, it's probably just a trick of the light. Turns out, they were dangerously wrong. Because on the other side of those mountains, they find the impossible. A city. A massive, sprawling megalopolis built with this bizarre, non-Euclidean geometry on a scale that just makes human achievement look like a joke. And the geology doesn't lie. This plateau has been a frozen wasteland for at least 500,000 years. This city wasn't just built before humans. It was ancient when our species was barely learning to walk. And this, right here, is the absolute heart of Lovecraft's cosmic horror. The terror isn't that some monster has broken into our world. No, the terror is realizing that this has always been their world, and we've just been squatting in a corner of it. We are not the main characters of Earth's story. We're barely a footnote in a chapter written in a language we can't even comprehend. So they land in this silent, dead city, and the narrator and Danforth make this mind-blowing discovery. The walls are covered in these intricate carvings that tell a story. It's the entire history of the Elder Things.
They came from the stars 1 billion years ago, and they actually seeded life on Earth, almost as a joke or a mistake. They fought wars against other cosmic invaders, and then, as the Ice Age came, they were treated to a new home, deep, deep beneath the Earth's crust. The carvings basically give them a map. The elder things that thawed out must have gone back to their ancient home underground. So, following this trail of strange debris, the two men descend into the crushing dark, deeper and deeper into a history that was never, ever meant for human eyes.
And deep in that darkness, they find them, the elder things from Lake's camp, all of them, brutally murdered. And in that moment, the narrator's fear just gives way to this shocking sense of kinship. These things weren't evil monsters. They were scientists, explorers, driven by the same terrified curiosity that made Lake dissect one of their kind. Whatever they had been, the narrator realizes they were men.
Well, that brings up a terrifying question. If the elder things weren't the killers, what was? The answer was on the walls the whole time. The murals showed a race of creatures the elder things had bioengineered to be their slaves, the Shoggoths. They were these formless, protoplasmic blobs that could be molded to do any job. But the slaves developed a mind of their own and rebelled. A rebellion the elder things thought they had crushed ages ago.
Turns out it's still down here. A sound echoes from the darkness, and this foul mist starts rolling towards them. And out of it comes a 15-foot-tall wave of bubbling, iridescent black slime. A formless mass of goo, sprouting and then reabsorbing countless eyes. The Shoggoth, the slave, has outlasted the master. And as this absolute nightmare chases them, it makes a sound. A high-pitched, sort of musical piping. Tekeli-li. It's the sound the elder things used to make. The Shoggoth, a creature with no voice of its own, is perfectly mimicking the cry of the masters it just finished slaughtering. It's not just killing them, it is mocking them. And that is the story's final, soul-crushing horror.
The narrator and Danforth, they manage to escape, but they basically leave their sanity behind in that frozen city. And the story's impact, well, it goes way beyond the characters. A lot like its controversial author, At the Mountains of Madness casts a long and very complex shadow over all of modern horror. You know, as Stephen King himself pointed out, Lovecraft is a foundational pillar of modern horror. He's the guy who took fear out of the dusty old haunted house and launched it into the vast, empty cosmos. He taught us that the greatest horror isn't some ghost in the attic, but the deafening silence of a universe that doesn't even know we're here. But, it's just impossible to talk about Lovecraft's legacy without dealing with his intense racism. So how do we reconcile the visionary artist with the hateful man? The source material for this explainer shows critics are really divided. Some, like the author Michel Houellebecq, argue that his fear of the other was the actual engine for his cosmic horror. But then others, like China Miéville, say that we can absolutely separate the art from the artist. It's this complicated, necessary conversation that still swirls around all his work. And that brings us all the way back to the narrator's warning from the very beginning. It's all clear now. He's not trying to hide some amazing scientific breakthrough. He's trying to prevent humanity's extinction. He knows what's waiting under the ice. He knows that we are not the masters of this planet. We're just its current and probably very temporary tenants. The story just leaves us with this question that kind of echoes in the dark. The real horror isn't what that expedition found. It's the terrifying idea of what else is sleeping in the forgotten corners of our world, just waiting for us to dig a little too deep.